Hey, welcome to this episode of Coffee with Jon. Looking forward to talking with Jon Benson. Jon, it's great to connect with you. BNSN.ai, BNSN.ai. So if someone were to come to your website, one of the things they're going to see, words that sell appear magically. Benson gives you ads, emails, and sales pages that convert in minutes. Everybody's favorite words, magic and convert.
Right.
So let's talk about that. Because I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver.
Sure.
But this is, we're living in a world where recent studies that I've learned about were that you have 2.5 seconds online to capture somebody's attention. Mm-hmm. You have a quarter of a second live. It takes 18 months to change somebody's mind. And they have to see something. I've read studies anywhere between 15 and 30 times before they even begin to see it. Years ago, and I don't have anything to point to on this one, I was listening to a podcast that said a 30-second video is equivalent to, I think it was like 3 million words read. That was the power of video and how people could receive it and retain it. All right, so now enter your business. Tell me, I usually don't jump in and say like, hey, tell me about the business, but this one is pretty interesting because I think the listener right now is thinking sales, marketing, conversions, getting someone's attention, keeping it. So tell me a little bit about what Benson does.
Well, I mean, we're going to, if you don't mind, we'll go back to the first few things you mentioned, which was the headline and subheadline on our page. Obviously,
conversion.
Have a copywriter background, so it comes in handy. But that's why we built Benson, is because we wanted it to be. I can't be in everybody's back pocket, so to say, and a lot of people can't afford an A-level copywriter. So we started 4.5 years ago to try to build something that would write videos, exactly what you're talking about, video sales letters specifically. So anything from 1 minute to 60-minute long video sales letters. That's how Benson started, and I think video is by far and away the most advantageous thing people can employ with their marketing. Because exactly what you're saying, you can communicate so much so quickly, but the words of the video are still the most important thing. So if you just have a video camera and you're showing your video going, you go, hi, this is John, this is my dog, and I have a fireplace in the background, and there's a coffee machine. It's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna do anything for your business, right? So the words, and this is the thing that seems so obvious until you talk to people and they say, well, I've got this. I go, and we'll always ask, well, how is the copy? The copy is the thing that moves the fastest. The medium will change over time. Like from 2004 to around 2012, VSLs were impossible to beat. Now you can use the same VSL type of writing in sales letters, 1 minute ads with video itself, but it's still using the same technology, same approach rather, but it's just the technologies are changed. But the words are still the most important thing that you can do. So that's what we focus on. We focus on words. That's all we focus on.
So let's talk about words. Your website is BNSN.ai. Mm-hmm. So let's just focus on the AI piece. Sure. I'm listening right now. I may think, well, words. Okay, I can go to Claude. I can go to ChatGPT. There's a lot of places that I can go right now to help me with words. On the flip of that, there is also you can find many articles that talk about how to that AI sounds too perfect, and you need imperfectness because that's how people know it's really you. That's one of the things I like about this podcast. I don't prepare questions. I'm having a conversation. There's nothing scripted about it. People can hear how I think and ask questions, and so yada yada. So talk to that piece, right? Because I think the word copy, everybody thinks they're a copier, a copywriter, and a writer today.
Oh yeah, that's very true. Well, I wish it was as simple, because if it was as simple as going to Claude or Chat, then that's exactly what we would do. We would just go there and say, "Hey, write me a 6,000 word VSL that's going to convert cold traffic on Meta." Good luck with that. Let me know how that works out for you. And there's a reason for that. Once people understand why these applications like Claude and Chat have great utility, we use them all the time.
Yeah, they're
But
great.
why they can't deliver high level copy that sounds human. Once you understand the reason why, then you understand the reason, the necessity for specialty apps, for things that take what that does, takes the power of it, the speed of it, the fact that it can write things in seconds that would take
Right.
us weeks to write. But then you have to apply everything that we know about copy to that on the back end before the customer ever sees it. And that second part is what so few people do in this business. They're just,
What are those things? What are those things?
oh my gosh, we will go through for an example. Let's take a video for an example, like a video, and we'll take a 10-minute video, something relatively short, not a long video, not a short video. A 10-minute video in Benson terminology has 7 sections to it. And each of those sections we'll call a different model in a different LLM if we think that needs it. So our agents will simply, they'll call Claude, Grok, OpenAI, they'll call whatever it takes to write it. So that's right off the bat, that tells you right there why someone can't go to Claude and get the same thing, because it's only going to use Claude. But Claude's really good for some things and really bad for other things. And it takes a professional copywriter to figure out what's the differences. You know, why, how do we make it better? Then after all of that, we take 20 years of copywriting, editing expertise, what turns a B-level piece into an A-level piece, and we run that through one prompt and one skill after the other until it comes out sounding like that. Yeah. And that's why if you were seeing a first draft of anything come out of AI, something's wrong. Like if you're saying, write something for me and it starts writing, that's not it. You can almost guarantee that's not going to work. And let me just, if I will rest everyone's ease, I own an AI company, so this is not advantageous for me to say what I'm about to say, but this is the truth.
Yeah,
I personally will write something and then I will edit it at least 3 times. So if one of the top copywriters in the world, not to pat myself on the back, but just the data are the data, right? I need to do that in order to get a VSL that converts, or in order to get an email series that converts. And even then, sometimes not everything I wrote was a winner. Then how much more would you expect the machine that's been trained on the entire internet, so it doesn't have any localized training? Ours does, but most Claude doesn't. So how would you expect that to possibly compare? So it's not going to, and that you have to put those human elements into it. Otherwise, it sounds, like you said, it sounds perfect. It sounds robotic. It sounds soulless, the word that I use.
What makes something sound human?
That's a great question. The answer's a little surprising, but it does have something to do with the instruments behind me.
Yeah.
Actually, it's rhythm.
Yeah.
It's rhythm. Yeah. Copy has, being a musician has, this is kind of weird. We've noticed that some of the copywriters that we think of as the top copywriters, maybe John Carlton, Gary Benson, they're musicians as well as copywriters. And so I think there's a language there that we speak that's a little different than somebody that isn't a musician. And knowing that language, we hear tension and resolution. That's very common in music. You hear dissonance, then it resolves, right? Wow. You hear there's rhythm. There's a rhythm to the things that you're playing, but there's also something in music called phrasing. And this is, I could go into a whole lecture about this, but I promise I won't. Phrasing is what makes a great, you can take a good guitar player and compare him to a great guitar player. And as just musically speaking, like taking tastes out of it, we know what makes a great guitar player. Larry Carlton, by anyone's standard, is a great guitar player. He's a very famous session player that I had good fortune of meeting, almost playing with once. I wish I could have, but he's known for phrasing. Peter Frampton, back in the 70s, is known for his ability to phrase things. Phrasing is how you play notes over a given period of time. It's the position of those notes. And words are very much like notes. So when you hear a great writer, it's because they're phrasing the words in a way that lands in a rhythm that your brain goes, oh, wow, there's something that's pulling me there. It's creating tension, and it's creating a resolution. AI cannot do that.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it inhuman. So we have a whole humanizing, actually multiple series of skills that we go through to humanize the AI, to give it tension, to give it resolution, to give it even mistakes. We take out a lot of the perfections, and we start sentences with the word because. We'll do things that I would do as a copywriter that AI would never do on its own.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I just want to kind of stay on this topic because you are a musician. You've traveled the world.
Mhm.
You know, there's I want to talk about the frequency, right? So you're talking about the rhythm, and I agree. It's like even we saw this in a post-COVID world. People had to figure out their new rhythm of how to do things.
Mhm.
And we can talk about, you know, the rhythm of when we're born and how we kind of do all that. But
Mhm.
music also has a frequency, and there's different frequencies that are um, more connected to other people. Some, you know, there's healing frequencies. There's, you know, there's people say that Beethoven's, what is it, Seventh Symphony, second movement, the first 3 minutes are the most healing piece of music ever made. There's a piece called Weightless, which is also allegedly a very healing frequency. You have
Mhm.
things, you know, ranging, you know, hey, for 396 megahertz, you know, this is it, this does this to yourself, and you
Mhm.
know, 693 does it. Where does frequency fit into this? Like the rhythm, the frequency, the vibration, like how does it all move together?
I think that would be more in line with, say, video stuff, more like in spoken copy than it would be in written copy. When you read copy like a letter or an email or whatever, you're reading in your own voice usually. So we've done studies on this, and it's kind of interesting. If somebody knows the person that's sending the email, they tend to read it in the person's voice. But most of the time, when you're reading email from somebody that's a marketer or somebody that you don't know well, you read in your own voice.
Yeah.
So your own voice has a specific frequency and cadence to it, and your brain is kind of making those kind of interpretations, I'm sure, as you go along. But when you're listening to like a video sales letter or just a normal video, then all of that stuff, it goes into play. I've never tested like specific forms of music for conversion. Like how does, you know, Beethoven's Seventh work against, you know, Adagio for strings? I have no idea. I have no idea how that would work, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were some key differences. But also, I think that a lot of people internalize that it's a very personal thing. So that type of thing is probably more to a really specific niche market. Like one market may be more prone to this frequency of music than that. But the one thing that we found is pretty universal is what we're talking about with cadence and rhythm. So that's just the way that copy lies out. And when you run copy through if you try to see if something's written by AI, there's like a dozen AI checkers out there. They're checking against the sentence patterns, like how long each word is, how long how many words are in each sentence, what the paragraph breaks are. They're looking for rhythm. And so
Yeah.
what we do is we create rhythm that has got phrasing to it. So the phrasing, it creates a little bit more, if you will, syncopation, a little bit more unusual breaks, so that people know or feel like this is written by a human being. And that's incredibly important. So that's probably closer to, I think it's probably more important in the area of copy, strictly in the area of copy than anything else.
All right. So copy, video, rhythm, frequency, et cetera, now enter your business. You know, you talked about, you know, a 10-minute has 7 sections. You know, I've read studies that talk about, you know, people are more apt to watch a 10.5 minute videos back to back than they are a 10-minute video. It sounds like there's a lot of art and science to that, the way you do things. And so if I'm a company, if I'm a salesperson, if I'm a manager, how am I, and I'm listening right now, how am I using your product, incorporate it into my business? With what continuity and what results will I see?
Well, results are always going to be dependent on the person using it. And we have
Yeah.
no way. If anyone promises you specific results, you should run. We just simply say like you get results or you don't pay. So it's
Yeah.
pretty straightforward. So some people get, you know, the conversions go through the roof. Some people see a moderate raise in conversions. Their pricings are all over the map. Some are thousands of dollars for their product. Some are $17 for the product. So, but with that aside, you ask yourself, how many times in your business do you require words that sell anything?
Yeah.
Emails, ads, video, script, whatever. Just go down the list of everything that requires words. Even a sales formula somebody might use on the phone, right? So anything that touches that is what our business and our AI is designed to do, is to help people get the best words they possibly can for the use of the videos and the emails and the ads, et cetera. But the other thing, and this is something that cannot be overstated, I don't care how good of a copywriter you are. Again, I'm talking about dealing with some of the best of the best of the best. we still write, every single copywriter in the world has written a poem, every single one of them, not one exception to that rule. There's, I'm sure Beethoven and Bach and Mozart, maybe not Mozart, but everyone else wrote things that weren't good.
Yeah.
So we know that they think that they wrote things that weren't good. So just if you think of it that way, you know that, okay, it's not all going to be perfect. So that means the way that you take, this is super important to us, the way that you take AI that is either good or really good and you make it great is through human interaction, through feedback. And so we've been, from day one, offering live coaching once a week for feedback. We literally get on a call with people and say, tell us what you're struggling with. Let's see what we can do. Now, I don't know any other company that does that in the AI world. There might be one, but I'm not sure. I don't know if any that exists. So I think that you need to combine all of those things together to get the product that people want. And that was the way that we figured out to give people the best possible copy that they can get. And you know what? Honestly, most of our calls, very few people come on with copywriting questions because the copy is really good.
Yeah.
And it's usually stuff like, how do I market this? How do I get more leads in this area? Or, how do I, they're mostly, honestly, a lot of the questions come down to the same answer of, you got to test, but it's the same answer in the human world. And so this is the thing that, I hate to break it to people. AI just makes things a lot faster, makes things a lot easier. You still have to do the same amount of work when it comes down to testing. Like, it doesn't matter if it's AI or not. Now, one day AI will be sufficient enough to run all the tests for you, but then there will be a whole other thing that will come up that humans will have to take over. But for right now, it's still like, how many ads are you running to test test your control against? How many big ideas have you tested? How many hooks have you tested? Same questions I asked 15 years ago. The difference is I can get 15 hooks in 15 seconds now versus in 15 days. So there's a massive difference in how fast we can get to market, how many ideas we can test.
Talk about consistency. I think a lot of times people think, oh, I'll do a video, I'll do it for a month, I'll try it for 5 weeks, and I'll see how it goes. I'm under the school of thought, do it for minimum a year. Be consistent, minimum for a year, because you need time to just do it and be known as somebody who actually is consistent. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on consistency?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you know Gary or not, but I had the pleasure of speaking with him on stage once, and it was a total blast. He's every bit as crazy as he is on videos. But the guy has got the work ethic that just cannot be measured on paper. He's like the Tom Brady of marketing when it comes to work ethic, right? Wow. And he's very much the same way. It's like, man, you should be running 400 ads a week. I mean, he's like way above where everybody. But yeah, it's the same mentality of like if you're going to go do this, do it all out. And do it. Just try you've got to try every variation. Yeah. And we've all heard the story, right? That somebody tried something for 4 months, then all of a sudden they did one thing different, and then boom, it just took off. Right. So you never know whether that one thing different is around the corner. I just put the caveat in there, and so does Gary, by the way, that if you're doing something repetitively and it continues to fail, eventually you either have to change strategies entirely or try something else. Yeah. It might not be your game. It might not be your bag. It might not be the case.
It's great.
Yeah.
So if, again, just to kind of recap this, your ideal client and somebody who wants to use you, who is that and how do they get started?
So it's just go to BNSN.ai, but as far as how they get started, and pick a plan that's right. There's 3 plans that we offer, but the ideal customers that we work with we spell it out pretty clearly on the page. We really want to work with the small to medium-sized businesses, and specifically entrepreneurs, marketers. Copywriters obviously are welcome because this is a superpower for copywriters. But most of our customers are actually small business owners, and so that's who we are, and that's who we want to cater to. So we don't want to try to cater to $100 million companies because we're not one, and we don't want to be one. So it's like that's just not in our wheelhouse. There are agency types that can deal with that kind of stuff. We want to deal with the small to medium-sized business owners that if we can make a difference in their like a 15 to 20% difference in their conversions, isn't just like, oh, we can now afford a different wing of our company. It's like, wow, I can put my kid through college or something. That's a much more fulfilling industry for us. So that's who we market to.
It's great. All right, quick speed round. A book that's made a big impact on you.
Oh gosh, Brother Karamazov. That was the first one that came to mind. So,
If you could have coffee with anybody living or dead, who would it be and why?
Jesus and Dostoevsky.
Okay. Jesus is a very popular one when I ask that question. Finish your sentence. One thing that people need to get out of their own way with when it comes to marketing, specifically what you do for them is?
Oh gosh, you need lots of different testing variations. You need to test. You're failing because you're not testing enough. It's that simple. And unless you can write a lot, that's what they ask. Test.
The number one thing that they need to think about marketing long term is
Consistency.
And with videos?
With VSLs specifically, again, it's testing variations of leads. That's the number one thing you can do.
We didn't really talk about this too much, but you toured the world playing the guitar. Favorite venue or favorite artist that you played with?
Favorite band I was in was a band called Frankly Scarlet because they were just so much fun. Kind of a punk fusion band. Got to play with Jon Faddis, trumpet, one of the greatest trumpet players who ever lived. That was probably the most thrilling performance we ever did. That was because it was like holding on to a stallion.
That's cool. All right. Again, I'll just kind of recap a couple things. BNSN.ai is your website for those, to all the people listening. We talk a lot about on this podcast, Jon, the power of marketing and the power of video. It is a really powerful thing. I don't know many other things that can hit as many senses as video can and appeal to so many people. This is my opinion, and I actually got this from Gary Vaynerchuk myself when I started my business, coaching business over 11 years ago. Ignore the likes, ignore the comments, just post a ton. People find you, and the people that you're supposed to talk to and you're supposed to connect with are the ones that get your content. I'd rather have one like and it be that one client than a million likes and not my client. That's going to convert to a client. I love putting out content. I love using video, but I am a conscious capitalist. So I like being able to grow my business. Your business helps people convert and grow their business. I think the magic is in people authentically getting to know you, because video goes a long way. Copy goes a long way. And being able to connect and be clear goes a really, really long way. So I appreciate you being on the show. You can reach Jon at BNSN, Benson.ai. You can reach me at JonDwoskin.com. Jon, thanks. This was great. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jon.